And we're back now talking more on the growing concerns over lead-contaminated water. This is happening nationwide. Dr. Siegel, I would like you to talk to us about home kits, if those filters work, and then eventually maybe Dr. Samadi can tell us if your system has been compromised, is the damage irreversible?
Yeah. First of all, Arthel, it's really important that you brought it down to the practical level. So I would tell people out there, use cold water. It's less likely to have lead in it. Let it run for a while, and this is a faucet by faucet problem. In other words, you could have a problem in one faucet and not another. You have to have all your faucets tested. Last point, showers are not going to cause you the problem because lead does not get absorbed through the skin. Only gets absorbed drinking only. The kits that you can use for filters, most of them work. They have different ways of doing it. They can do it by electrolysis and boil the water and then cool it, or they can do it by leaching out the lead. Both of those work.
Yeah, so if I go buy one of those, I'm not endorsing Brit, that's what I use. Does that work?
Yes, absolutely, and I think the first thing you should do is to get the water tested. If you have any questions, Arthur, call your plumber and find out what kind of system you have. Now, the main water system is perfectly fine. When it gets to the medium-sized channels and then it comes to the small pipes in your house, that's probably when the contamination comes, if the house is built over 20, 30 years old. The other thing you can do is you can get one of these osmosis filters specifically to prevent lead. So you can use the water, but make sure you change the filter on a regular basis.
Or is that the filter you put on your faucet, as you were talking about?
You can do that, or you can basically get one of these mugs that has a filter in them and filter the water. I'll give you a great hint. Make sure everybody, and we don't do this in our house, and that's going to be the rule today, no shoe policy in the house, because you bring a lot of soil.
I'm already way ahead of you.
Okay, so you're doing that already.
No shoe. Oh, you leave the shoes outside?
Oh, yeah, no shoes in the house.
You don't walk around? Oh,
because, you know, a lot of lead in soil, that's really important. And finally, make sure that if there's something wrong, if you're not feeling well, and I tell you, we admit that the doctors are not well trained in getting and testing all these, like, toxic metals. You don't learn this in medical school. You're not trained to do it, and we're not testing it. So don't assume just because you go for your physical, there's going to be mercury, aluminum, lead. You have to find out, doc, is there something wrong? Kids that are not growing, behavioral changes. I'm going to throw something out there that's a little controversial. Even early autism and Asperger's may be perhaps related to some of these toxic levels. Wow. And if you have any information, I would love to hear from you.
Well, the USA Today article was unbelievable. It said one school in Maine had 42 times the EPA level of lead in the water. What's that? I want to get back to something with you.
Eric, just to make a quick thing on that point. Texas, Pennsylvania, New York, and California are the worst offenders here. And every year that you get your water bill, you can get something called the Consumer Confidence Report. They're supposed to tell you.
Yeah, the water company sends me a whole thing, and you never really look at it. You just to see what it breaks it all down. But you mentioned one thing about running the water. They've had advice of running water at least 30 seconds when you wake up in the morning.
5 minutes.
In Newark, they say 2 minutes in the Newark public schools.
I say the
what
longer,
should you do?
I say the longer the better, especially if you have one of those homes where the pipes have lead in them from 1986 or before, or you know that. Check it out. You can find out that your sewer line is. They literally call it a lead straw. You know, and if you get to the doctor's office, by the way, I am looking for this. So I will. A lot of patients ask me, should I have a lead level? If they're not feeling well, I tend to do it.
And
now even more so.
What's your advice on running the water?
Well, before we run the water, because we're running out of time, I want to talk about what happens, again, if your system has been compromised. Is the damage irreversible? And also, is there some way something you can sort of ward off any sort of lead?
Unfortunately, that's a very, very good question. Unfortunately, the effect of lead is irreversible, especially at the very high level. But if you and I, for example, like we think that we're exposed and you're not feeling well, you can take 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. And a lot of these vitamins, they have chelating agents, meaning that they can suck the lead out of your system and clear it. Sometimes this lead can actually get absorbed into your bone. So by taking 2,000 IU of vitamin D, you can prevent it from getting there. And you know where this is becoming more prevalent? On postmenopausal women. When you basically, your hormonal changes, that's an osteoporosis kicks in, that lead can come in and cause a problem later on.
Oh, wow.
You see women, listen, this is very important. You see women that start losing their hair out of the blue, or their thyroid changes, hormonal changes. A lot of secret is in this. We need more studies. And again, come to my social media. I want to hear from people.
Vitamin C and vitamin D.
Vitamin C, 1,000 milligrams, and 2,000
run your water. Also, get it tested. You can call your doctor, call the EPA. We have the number up, as the doctor said.
Check with your plumber to see if
that's a great advice.
Yeah.
Doctors, thank you. It's a large problem. Hopefully you don't have lead in your water. You can find out and do something about it.